I recently returned from a trip to California where I spent several days filming on a documentary project. The trip was fast-paced. It was a journey where my wife and I flew across the country, started filming, and the pace didn't let up until we flew back home to Mississippi. I can't remember when a trip made me as tired as this one did. We were exhausted. We ran with cameras and gear flying, taping interview after interview. We collapsed into our bed upon our return and were completely worn out. However, it was one of the best trips of our lives. We had an amazingly good time on our way. When I think of this hurried pace, I sometimes think of how God's Word says to be still and know that I am God. And I believe that we can see Him in those soft, still moments. But I also realize that it's in those still moments where we are given the opportunity to look back and see how God was working all the while in the hustle and bustle of our busy times. You see, in those frantic periods of work, it's hard to see what God is doing, but He is often doing something amazing in our lives during those times nonetheless. It's like a watercolor painting. Watercolor is unlike other mediums in that the paint still continues to move and blend after you put it down on paper. If you put wet paint beside another area of wet paint, the colors will run together. This movement and this blending forces the watercolor artist to work at a fast pace, to be aware of many things happening at the same time. If attention isn't given to many factors, the painting can quickly get away from the painter. Those colors just keep mixing in together. But that's where the beauty comes from. Colors and mixtures are achieved by all of these things running together. Gradients and variety and beauty achieved by controlled frenzy that couldn't be achieved any other way. It adds the spice of life to the painting. After the work is complete, the viewer can see the skilled hand of the creator, the hand that knew what was happening all along. The hurried, blurred parts that required so much attention now all work together to show the completed whole piece. In the stillness, we look back and see there was a plan to it all. God shows Himself to us in the small, still moments, but He also shows Himself in those busy times, in the fireworks of life. So how about it? Are you in one of those frantic, busy times where everything seems to be running together? Are the colors blurred? Is it difficult to see how it's all working together? Remember that God works all things for good to those who love Him. So see that good work sometimes takes patience, and it takes a little faith. I'm Anthony Thaxton. I'm drawn to those still times, but I'm also drawn to the busy times, and I'm drawn to Christ.